you shouldn't have something called Indian Arrival Day, but you should have Arrival Day. And nevertheless, we persevered, and Indian Arrival Day was in fact then declared a national holiday. And to mark that event, in Cedras, I was then chairman of the St. Patrick County Council, and together with a councillor by the name of Basdev Manmohan Singh, and a sculptor from Rosilak, he sculpted a very beautiful piece, which was a boat in which there's a father and mother and a child whose finger is pointing inland to Trinidad and Tobago. And I remember that very vividly today because the monument still stands there at Manmohan Singh Park in Cedras almost 30 years ago. But that monument in Cedras is the only monument in the world that celebrates the arrival of East Indians to this part of the world. And in fact, it was only 2 years ago that in Calcutta, a monument was built there to mark the coming of the leaving of the East Indians from Calcutta to these parts of the world. So we have a bit of history in Cedras, in Manmohan Singh Park, and I'm very happy to be part of this history because, you know, my mind goes back 30 years back into how both of these are knitted together. The second thing that makes me very happy to be here this evening, happy and sad, and I'll tell you why. Because when I went into the section there and saw the jail cell in which George Hughes is kept, and then I was reminded that Makandal Daga was also kept here in 1970. It reminded me of an event when we were marching up and down this country, struggling for the unity of Indians and Africans. And there was a banner which we had, Indians and Africans Unite. And I was locked in the arms of Makandal Daga, my brother on another side, together with a group of students from the University of the West Indies. And we marched right on from Port of Spain to Caroni, to Chaguanas that evening, because we stood for one thing, for the unity of our people and for common understanding. And this is why I was so moved by the words of the Permanent Secretary when she tried to explain the meaning and significance of this ministry, Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration. Because patriotism is also about national unity. Patriotism is about standing for a common cause. And the only just cause that we can stand for in this country, Trinidad and Tobago, is for the cause of the unity, well-being and prosperity of our people. And this Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration, about which so many comments were made, because people didn't understand the philosophy and the concept. Today, I give praise to my colleague, Clifton Dikoto, the Minister, and also to the pioneering vision of our Prime Minister when she conceived of this particular ministry and said to Mr. Dikoto, and I was present when she says, go and foster patriotism in Trinidad and Tobago. This was the mission that she gave to him. And I want to tell you, listening to the comments of Shamsuddin and looking at the people who make up this audience here today, I think that we have made miles of steps of progress in terms of coming to a greater understanding of who we are and what we are, not just as one people, but also as peoples who have come from different parts of the world. It is said that if you really want to understand who you are, you must never neglect your history. You must also try to remember where you came from. And our presence here today has reminded all of us, and particularly myself, of that what I am today is as a result of the foundations, the struggles and sacrifices that those who came before me made. Not just in terms of East Indian ancestors, but of all the ancestors. Because every group that came here after our African ancestors built upon their legacy and built upon their struggles. So today where we are, it is really the amalgam of all the struggles and sacrifices that have been made by all the peoples who have come to this very beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. Shamsuddin is a very, very important person in our midst. He's one who has helped many of us to reconnect with our villages and our families in India. In my own case, Shamsuddin traced my family to a place that is 50 miles off the spiritual city of Varanasi, and it's a place called Niyamat Punj. It's a very interesting history that he has discovered about my family. And it's so interesting that some of the cultural practices that still exist and the professions that still exist in my family in India were the professions that my grandparents carried out in this country, showing you how deep culture and lineage and so on is all about. I want to pay particular tribute to the actors here today, and I want you to join me in giving them the loudest round of applause that you can give them here this evening. Irie Production. I was taken back, I didn't know where I was, when Sharda Miraj walked up the steps and she was pleading in that very plaintive, very sensitive, emotive voice and signaling to us. And then she sang that song that went deep into our souls. The cries of the ancestors. It made you shiver as you sat there. And I'm sure for many, lumps got into your throat and some tears might have flowed from your eyes, because it was all a moment of stillness, a moment of remembrance, a moment when we went back in time just to remember and say a silent word of prayer for the souls of those who came and departed but left their mark upon this country. Thank you again, Sharda, and members of the Irie Productions, and thank you everyone who has made this very great event here possible. This is a signal event in Trinidad and Tobago. This is an island that we should spend much more money than we are spending to make it the place that it should be. A place of pilgrimage, a place where visitors can come and visit, and where, we go, for example, to Disney World, and we go to other parts of the world, and we marvel at what they have done with their history. We have made a great start, thanks to the Prime Minister, Clifton Dikoto, and the Ministry, Madam, for all the work you have done. May God bless us all. Thank you.